So let's start when it comes to immigration, because there is, of course, this court case today about whether or not, essentially, it's illegal to send people to Rwanda. Liz Truss has got a lot to get to grips with when it comes to what's going on in the Channel and immigration in general.
Yes, of course. And, remember, the big Tory majority, the Brexit vote, it was all about getting back control of our country, of our lives, of our destiny and our borders. That was a key part of what people voted for. They also expected voters for the numbers to go down. And what we see is both legal and illegal numbers are now going through the roof. The Channel is an insult to us. And now that we see huge numbers that are coming from Albania. If you believe the boss of the Border Force Union, Lucy Morton, she said every day we now see people with prison haircuts and prison tattoos openly on TikTok. Young Albanian men are coming to join crime in this country, and yet the government faces this court case. It's going to go on for the next 5 days. I can't predict now whether they'll win or lose, but it does seem to me, Patrick, all the while we're stuck to the ECHR, to the European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg, we are basically powerless to control our borders. So Liz Truss is going to have to be very, very tough and get to grips with that. And she'll be screamed at if she does. Screamed at by Whitehall, by the opponents, by the BBC, the United Nations, Uncle Tom Cobley and all. But the country would give her a resounding thumbs up.
Well, they would indeed, if she could frankly do something that not a lot of, well, no other Conservative leader has really managed to do, which is get immigration down to manageable levels. You tweeted something that I read with interest, Nigel, about it would be a surprise, it would be a shock if a Conservative Prime Minister now actually behaved like a Conservative. What do you really mean when you say that?
Well, because what they do is at election time, they say things that sound conservative so that you vote for them. And then in between each election, they let you down like a cheap pair of braces. Then they come back at the next election and say, but you've got to vote for us. Otherwise, you'll get Corbyn. Otherwise, you'll get the SNP. And this charade, absolute charade, has been going on for 12 years, where they increase the size of a state, they increase our taxes, they increase the civil service, they cut the Navy, cut the Army, cut the Air Force. They don't behave like Conservatives in any way at all. Now, Truss said clearly that she was going to govern as a Conservative. Look, I'm sceptical about whether she will, but you know what, Patrick? It's in the national interest that she succeeds. I'm going to give her a fair wind for these first few weeks. I really am. And I hope, and I mean it, that she succeeds.
Well, I'm sure that you are being very genuine with that, Nigel, but I think the British public are potentially at the end of their rope when it comes to false promises about exactly how Conservative people are going to be. And if I listen very closely, I might be hearing the clamour for a Nigel Farage-esque figure to be standing against soon. But I know you've got other things on your mind at the minute. I mean, to be fair, though, the political landscape, Nigel, is there, right?
Let's put it like this. The Conservatives are drinking in the last chance saloon. They are miles behind in the polls. They've let people down dreadfully. I'm really angry, frankly, at what they've done with energy policy and many other things. And they are creating a vacuum. They are genuinely giving a big opening to another insurgency, the likes of which we saw from UKIP, going back to the 2010s. So, yeah, a gap in the market is opening and somebody will fill it.
Just very quickly, Nigel, could that be you?
Oh, I don't think so. I'm much too old these days.
Oh, stop it. I don't believe that for a second. Sorry, Nigel, just before I let you get going, there's an issue I want to get you on, which is the way that Europe is now viewing us under Truss. I mean, I didn't really mind, to be honest with you, what she said about Macron. I can't really figure out whether or not he's a friend or a foe. I think I've got a pretty good idea, and I'm not sure it's the first one. How do you feel about Liz Truss when it comes to our European friends and neighbours and the view of Britain on the world stage now?
Well, Boris was seen as a very controversial figure, perhaps unfairly, but that's because he did, in the end, link himself to the Brexit cause. Truss didn't do that. And maybe Europe should bear in mind that we are transshipping huge amounts of LNG gas at the moment. We're taking it in to British terminals. We're piping it out as gas to Europe to help them fill their tanks for the winter. We're doing Europe a massive favour at the moment, and maybe what Liz Truss ought to do is remind them of that.